welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name's Ella, and today I'll be sharing with you guys my first ever Animal Crossing speed build. So this is the first build that I'm doing on my brand new island called Daisy Bay, and I decided to start with the entrance. I usually do because I just find it a good reference point for the rest of the work. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. So I wanted to share a bit of the inspiration behind this island with you guys, what I was thinking about when I tried to come up with like a sort of theme or concept for the island. And I don't usually like to stick to like one specific theme. I didn't do so with my last island either. I did consider doing farmcore for this one, and I will definitely have elements of that on this island as well. I do plan on having a pretty big farm on the island, but I don't want it to sort of be all-consuming, if you know what I mean. I just want to have some flexibility with what kinds of areas I can incorporate. But yeah, the farm theme will definitely be one of the elements that I want to incorporate. But another thing that I really like the idea of is that everyone who lives on this island is in some way, shape, or form an artist, someone who creates beautiful things, whether that be pottery or writing or actual paintings or other handcrafted items. I just really like that idea. So I will also, or I'm planning also on having a pretty big sort of artist market on the island as one of the bigger builds. I have no idea yet really which kinds of villagers would fit that idea. They should obviously have sort of pretty strong personalities, which feels strange to say because there's only 8 personality types, but I want them to be someone where you can at least imagine that they have a sort of artistic soul living inside them. So I haven't done any research about that quite yet, but if you have any ideas who could fit, then do let me know down in the comments. I'm very open for ideas. I have my first villager hunt ready to go already. Like, I have an empty plot right now and I can go ahead and get to villager hunting, but I have no idea who I'm even looking for, so we'll see. So one thing you will see with this build is that it's quite a mess, unfortunately. Not at the end. I really like how it turned out in the end, but the process to get there was a bit tricky. So I do apologize if the video gets a bit choppy in places, a bit chaotic, because I changed my mind a lot of times with pathing, with furniture placement, with all kinds of things. I tried my best to sort of keep the parts that end up not really being relevant for the final product shorter. So like when laying down the first path that I tried, I didn't show you the whole process because I end up changing it later anyway. So I do hope it's not too bad, but this build was actually in the end a perfect example of what I'm sort of going through in real life right now, which is, you know, you make a plan, you have sort of an idea in mind of what you want your life to turn out or your future to turn out, and then you just have to admit at some point that it's not working and you just need a bit of a fresh start, and then things sometimes start to flow much better. So this build really encapsulates that feeling for me because it started out well enough. I thought I could go with the idea that I originally had in mind, and then I had to change a bunch of stuff to get, in the end, still though a product that I really like. So I think it was worth it in the end to be a bit flexible. It's funny, by the way, how many of my villagers that I currently have on the island just decided to hang out really close by while I was doing this build. They just didn't want to miss any of what was going on. Let me know in the comments below which your favorite guest appearance of one of my villagers was. I also wasn't quite sure what to do with the terraforming, since I had planned on keeping it fairly simple. I didn't even want to add a second layer of terraforming of cliff to the area. I wanted to keep it sort of flatter, but in the end it just didn't seem quite finished like that, so I ended up adding, at least on one of the cliffs, a little top layer as well. So as you can see with the path that I chose, I think it's really beautiful. I love the little flower detailing. I love that it has two different middle tiles that you can use, apart from the sort of standard dirt path version. So I thought that was really beautiful, but however, what I didn't really pay attention to when picking this path was that the edges were quite jagged. Like you'll be able to see here and there whenever you lay down two pieces of, like, say, the right side of the path next to each other, it just looks like a zigzag line. And I didn't like the way that looked, unfortunately, and I was hesitant to change it again because I got attached to this path. After all, I did really like it, but it just didn't work out for me. It looked too messy, it looked too sharp edged, and I was just looking for actually a completely different design code, and I ended up finding the path that I stuck with, and I loved it right away because the colors were a little bit different. It still had this little flower detailing. You'll see it in a minute, but I loved it right away. However, I had a different problem with that one. More on that later as well. So as you may have noticed from the title of the video, it's called Speedbuild Chat, and that is one very specific reason, and that is that I love watching Animal Crossing speed builds. I do. The only thing that I always thought was a bit unfortunate is that, you know, there's quite a lot of time, obviously, that you have in the video where not a whole lot happens because you have to do the terraforming, the waterscaping, and everything. So I thought to myself, I want to incorporate a bit of just chatting into the videos so that you guys can get to know me. I can hopefully get to know you at some point if you share your stories with me, and I just want to let you know what's sort of going on in my life, what I'm thinking about right now, and maybe there will be one or the other thing that someone can relate to or is going through something similar, and maybe I can help them. I don't know. That would be my dream, at least my hope, because we all love this game and it's amazing. But in the end, you know, even though I hesitate to say this because it does mean so much to me and so many other people, but it is a game in the end, and while it can bring a lot of fun and entertainment, and that is incredibly valuable, especially right now at this specific time, I did also want to bring another element into it that's not just about the game, but a bit more personal, a bit more anecdotal, if you will. Yeah, so I hope you guys like that. Let me know what you think. So what you can see right now on this very gloomy, rainy day is that I did change out the path for the new one, like I said, but I still had this problem with it, that the middle tile had this kind of hole in the path, and once again, if you placed too many of that path, like the middle tile, next to each other, it would just look kind of weird. You can see it here, sort of. I didn't like that. I didn't like how you could very obviously see that it was just, you know, a repeating pattern. I wanted to break it up a little bit because I did really love the path and I didn't want to completely choose a new one again. So I decided to just mix it up a little bit so I didn't have to place too many of the middle tile next to each other, and it worked out quite well in the end. I just broke up the path into multiple smaller sections instead of having it as one unbroken pathway all the way through. That helped a lot. Things also started to improve once I did decide to switch out some of the furniture. I just didn't like the way the colors were going together in this specific section. There were too many different browns, and then along with the gray of the simple well, it just wasn't working. Also, I changed the customization of the swinging bench to just fit this darker wood color a bit better. I'm a stickler when it comes to colors. I cannot have it when they don't match, and the same goes for the garden wagon, which just has the brown of it is just slightly too light for this area. I think it just doesn't quite match the well, so I end up moving it later. Also, I didn't include any footage from when I'm placing down these flowers because I will exchange those later on as well. But more on that in a bit. So as you can see, I struggled quite a bit with the layout. I ended up making the well area a bit smaller than it initially was, just so I could fit more of a comfortable path leading by it, which I liked better in the end. And also I just was struggling to not make the area too crammed overall, so I tried to not overload it with too many items. So things really started coming a little bit more together in my mind once I started placing down these dark pink azalea bushes or shrubs, because they just fit the path much better, because there is that sort of cool toned pink in the path as well. So I really thought at that point, okay, I really want to try and match my design of the area to the path. It will just make everything look a lot more tied together and cohesive, and that's what I ended up going for. So on the side off camera, I started growing a bunch of new flowers. I got rid of the yellow ones and replaced them on the next day, which was thankfully a lot more bright and sunny. I replaced everything with orange and pink flowers and some white later on as well. And this was so freeing for me finally doing this, because I thought, okay, I love the path, but I don't love orange flowers usually. I kind of don't want to use orange flowers. It's just not my style. I don't like orange as a color that much. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna still stick with whites and maybe some pinks. It's gonna work out anyway, but it really wasn't coming together the way I wanted. So I ended up just saying, you know what? I will give the orange a chance. I think it might actually turn out really nice, and I'm really glad that I did in the end. It's a lot more colorful and vibrant than I feel like what a lot of other people are doing right now, or what I would usually go for. But I am really glad that I just did something different, and maybe if you're stuck with your island, you can try one of those things that you never thought you would like, and you'll actually end up getting unstuck from that. So this build was really the perfect start to this island for me, not because of sort of how I designed it or anything, mostly really because I started this island and this channel in the first place because my plans didn't work out, you know? I just very recently lost my job. I didn't really like the job anyway in the first place, but I just took it because it was safe, it was sort of stable, and it fit into the plan, you know? I had chosen my path of studies because I had very little other ideas, and by the point that I took my last job, it was just kind of too late to turn around now, you know what I mean? So I just followed through with it. I just did it. I hated it. I really, my mental health suffered greatly from it, and at some point it just wasn't working anymore. And it was really hard for me in the first couple of months after losing that job to relax in this situation, because it was one of those situations where I felt like, okay, my plans have failed, I have failed, and I need to fix this now. I need to come up with a new plan. And I tried to force it a little bit. I just wanted to have a new plan, a new idea ready as quickly as possible, and it just didn't work like that. It just, nothing felt right really. I felt so stuck. I just kept evaluating things based on, well, how likely is this to work out, because I don't want to do something again that's just gonna fail. And doing this YouTube channel, it was never on the list of things that would be a good plan, you know, but in the end, it was still what I was most drawn to, and what I think I've been drawn to for years, probably since 2009, when I first realized YouTube was a thing that existed and people were doing it, and I always thought that it looked really cool, but I never thought that I could be someone who could do it as well, or I just never let myself try it and just see what happens. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm still learning, and that I learned again when doing the speed build, is that I need to let myself try things more. I need to give things a chance and not exclude so many options right from the get-go. Even if it's something as seemingly silly as saying, oh, I don't think I want to use orange flowers on my Animal Crossing island because I don't like orange, and it's not my aesthetic, it's not my style. I think I already missed a lot of things in life because that was sort of my attitude. I will only try the things where I feel like I know that I will like the outcome, or that the outcome will be worth it. But really, probably the things that are most worth trying are the ones where you don't know the outcome yet, because they're the ones that have the chance to surprise you most. So yeah, I'm far from saying that I have actually learned this lesson, but I'm trying. I'm working on it. And I hope maybe if you're struggling with anything, if it's just your Animal Crossing island or if it's anything else in life. Like, you just don't exclude any possibilities from the get-go, especially if it's something that you actually would really want to do and you just hold yourself back from doing it because it seems hard or unlikely to work out. With this channel now, I'm hoping that things will change, no matter how things turn out for me. You know how many subscribers I one day end up with or don't end up with, you know. I think if nothing else, it will hopefully teach me that it's okay to try things, because it really is. So yeah, this is the finished build. This is my island entrance. I hope you like how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed watching and listening to me ramble. Let me know what you think of this kind of video down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely have a lot more things that I would love to talk about. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you leave me a like or a comment, or even subscribe to the channel if you're excited for more Animal Crossing content or other gaming content, which will definitely be coming as well. I can't wait to move on to the next speed build. I hope you're excited as well. Sending you all the best wishes. I hope you're doing great, and I'll see you very soon.